You're listening to Release Your Resistance with Bex Beltran, episode 101. Welcome to Release Your Resistance. This is Bex. The only reason why any of us don't have what we want in life is because of our own resistance. Right now, I'm learning how to recognize and release my resistance, and this podcast tells you how you can release your resistance so that you can live the exact life that you want. Let's get started. This week we have another guest interview for today's episode. And my guest today is Michell Brown, who created the dynamic mobility system for busy people who want to experience more freedom in their body and life. Her work helps you build your energy and vitality through a body-mind system that includes movement, body realignment, breath work, focus, and habit shifts. Let's go to the interview. Hi, Michell. Thank you for joining me on the podcast today.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here, Bex.
Oh, great. Thank you. Yes. And I just gave a very quick introduction of what you do and why you're joining us on the podcast. And I know you can do a much better job. So do you mind sharing with everyone what you do and why?
Certainly. My business is called Dynamic Mobility Training, and I have created it over the past 30 years that I've been doing this. And I really love helping people to build their energy, and connect to their own system. And that's so important because, as people, women, I can talk about women a lot. But it's so important to be able to connect to yourself and connect to your own energy. And when it's like making a deep connection is like forming a very intimate, safe, and wonderful relationship with yourself.
Ah, that sounds wonderful. So as you were describing it, I was kind of thinking to myself, there might be someone who's listening right now who thinks, do I need a different energy? Like maybe that's just their regular baseline and they don't even realize they could be more energetic or have a higher or a different energy. So what would you say are some of the telltale signs that someone would know that it's time to reach out to Michell?
When you get stressed, it affects everything. It affects your work. It also affects your relationships. And it affects like your personal space inside you, your immune system, your body, your mind, everything. So what I do is I help people to bring their attention to themselves, because when you're in stress mode, your attention's like all out here.
Right.
And you tend to fall into other people's agendas. You fall into the agenda of the company, the state, the federal government, whatever.
Totally. Your brain is just let me solve all the problems rather than looking inward and just solving this one problem, the only one that I have control over. That might not even be a problem.
It's true.
Yeah.
When we are stressed, it takes us out of ourselves. So what happens is what the work that I do, the dynamic mobility training, which involves movement and breath work and meditation and inner body work, like you're really focusing in your body. And when you have this, you're doing this work inside your body, it's like you're really bringing your attention here and coming home inside you.
Yeah.
And then you start to establish a stronger bond with yourself. And that bond empowers you. It gives you courage. It gives you strength. It gives you stamina. And it really helps you to be your best self, like your whole best self.
What a lovely thing to work towards. Is it a long journey? Is it a work towards it, or does it?
It is a journey. Well, we are humans, right?
Yeah.
And we change all the time. So as you're building this relationship with yourself, you're finding out more about yourself that you don't really, when you're busy and you're doing all these things, you're not thinking about, well, what's my relationship with myself right now? Or am I judging myself? Or am I putting too many limits on myself? Or
Right.
do I have, am I like putting another rule on top of myself? Am I having fun?
Yes.
So as you're building this relationship with yourself, you're really coming into your own system, coming into yourself, and then really throwing all that stuff out so you can just be you and find out who you are in this moment, what your deepest desires are, what you want, where you trust yourself, where you don't trust yourself.
Yeah.
And trusting yourself is huge in building a relationship with yourself. It's huge in operating, right?
Totally. And I think we don't even think about if we do trust ourselves or how much we trust ourselves or why we trust ourselves. I don't think we are taught or socialized to even consider those questions.
Absolutely not. We are not.
Mm-hmm.
We're taught to trust an authority figure outside ourselves.
Right.
But how do you know that that's right for you?
Right.
So, I mean, I'm not saying, don't trust authority. I'm just saying, whoa, take a look and see where you're putting your trust. Mm-hmm. First, are you putting it inside yourself? Like, I've got my own back.
Exactly. Check in with yourself. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so valuable. And you're right. I just don't think we stop or consider or are in the habit of doing that. So you brought up some things that could create a little resistance for people who are now interested and curious, but now they might also feel like, whoa, it's a journey, it's work. I'm going to have to face some things that I've never had to face before, or uncover some things that maybe I've kept really shoved down. I haven't had to look at them before. So do you know if people who come to this work with you, do they come with resistance up front, or does resistance show up once they've gotten into it and started to feel the effects of it? How does resistance show up with your clients?
Resistance. Well, this is your jam. So
yes, that's why I ask. I always want to get into the resistance.
Resistance shows up wherever you're not aligned with yourself and your system.
Okay.
So then you go into resistance. I mean, when you're really aligned with yourself and you're like on purpose, then you're like, okay, I'm going to either say yes or I'm going to say no.
Mm-hmm. And there's no drama, right?
And there's no drama.
Yes. And there's no resistance. Another word for drama.
That's true. But the resistance shows up when you're not aligned with yourself and it's like, oh, I should do this, or I should have done that, or owe someone or something like that.
Yep.
And that's when resistance shows up. Or one of the things that I find personally and with all my clients is resistance shows up wherever you're not open to something new.
Right.
And change is difficult.
Yes.
Right. We all experience that for a year. Or more than a year.
Now going on 2 years. I feel like 2021 has been a bigger adjustment period for me than 2020 was.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So, and it's probably going to continue. Like change is still going to happen, right? Because we're living in a new society of like, what? Are you kidding me?
Yes.
We have to do all these different things. Resistance comes up when you can't move with what's happening. Mm-hmm. And we need to be able to move our minds to be able to handle all the new input coming in, and also be able to move our systems to be able to either adapt or integrate what's happening.
Yeah.
Sometimes some things will adapt to, some things will say, nope, I'm not adapting to that. But you still have to integrate all these. It's
still reality. Sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, I'm living in a world that does this now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the resistance shows up when you can't move your mind. Mm-hmm. And it's so helpful to be able to move your mind, because when you can move your mind, you can move through things. Right. So here's an example. Let's say you're driving along and you have a roadblock. Are you going to sit in the roadblock, or are you going to look around you and find another way around?
Right.
Or are you just going to go, oh,
I guess I'm stuck here forever.
I'm stuck here forever.
I guess I live here.
It's true. Or can I do a U-E?
Right.
And go backwards, or can I go off to the right, or can I go off to the left, or can I just be happy while I'm in my roadblock?
Right. Yes. What do I get to do now that I'm sitting here? I get to clean out the car. I get to find a better station to listen to. So many things.
Maybe I'll listen to Bex's podcast.
That's right. And hopefully Michelle will be on it, and then they get to hear our conversation.
And then traffic starts moving. Whoa.
And it was the best delay ever.
Yeah. Letting your mind move so that you can move through situations and occurrences, in your life and not get so stuck that the drama just keeps circling around and around and around and around.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure that as people are listening right now, they can relate or they can recognize different parts that you're describing that they see in their own minds or lives. So I think what you're describing is super, super relatable. And it sounds like you've had a lot of success with this for yourself and you've seen your clients really experience these shifts and transformations.
Totally. Yeah, I have. I've been doing, I've been implementing this in my life for a really long time. And I've seen, wow, my relationship with my husband keeps getting better and better. My relationship with my daughters keeps improving. They're adults now. And, we've gone through a lot of challenges you do when you have children.
Sure. My
relationships with my family have improved so much. And I guess the cool thing is personally, I could see where I can move and where I can't move. Where I can't move, I'm just kicking myself in the to figure out how to be able to move there. I tend to put a lot of rules on myself.
You're speaking my language. I'm a rule lover. Not me, but my mind, right?
Yeah, your mind puts rules on you. If you post this on social media, what are people going to think?
Right. This means this. They have to do that. You better be this way. And none of that has to be true. We get to.
It's true.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be true. But when you put so many rules on yourself, then your mind gets more and more and more and more closed about the subject, instead of whoa, well, what are the possibilities? Yeah. Can I go north or south or east or west?
Yes. That's one of my favorite mantras right now. There are so many options. When I remind myself, it just opens everything up when I remind myself there are so many options here.
It's true.
So if someone's listening and thinking, okay, Michelle's got something that I want, I'm interested, I'm curious. Do you work with people virtually or only in person or individually or only in group? How do you work with people?
All of the above.
Okay. So many options.
So many options.
Nice.
So I do have a virtual business. I can work with people virtually all over the country or world. Or in town, even if people don't want to come in. And I have an office in Scottsdale where I work with people in person. And then I have a class that I do that people can come to also.
Nice.
So there's so many options.
I love it. I love providing people with so many options. And this fits right in to a few episodes ago. I did a roundup of my favorite gifts and I talked about gifts for other people, but also ourselves, right? And a great gift is a service, either for other people or for ourselves. So if people are still thinking about what do I want to give myself or what would make a great gift for someone else, that's not a thing that will just be in the house. A session with Michelle or a class with Michelle might be a great
it would be wonderful
thing to consider, right?
Yeah. And especially if you came with the person
an experience together.
You can have a shared experience, which would be really fun. It's great for couples. It's great for sisters. It's great or siblings.
Yes. Mother-daughter, right?
Mother-daughter. I just attended my own movement class, my own personal, training that I go to with my daughter. It was so fun. And we really got to bond. And that's fun.
And I'm sure, well, for you, it's normal because this is your work. But for other people, it would be a unique experience. Something that they haven't done before and something that they haven't experienced before. So I really like that.
And if you're into self-discovery and if you love exploring, if you don't like exploring, you'll probably you'll probably open a little bit.
Yes. Yes, that's so good. Well, let me just ask you some kind of more on the personal side questions, just so people can get to know you a little bit more. And just because these are my favorite topics to always talk about. So are you a journal lover, journal curious, or a non-journaler?
I am a journal lover.
Ooh.
I mean, so fantastically amazing lover.
Right? Talk about your journaling practice.
Okay. Well, I started with my journaling practice because I was hearing little voices and messages and people talking around
Sure.
me about gratitude. And I was trying to be grateful just by walking around and saying, I'm grateful for the grapefruit on my tree, and I'm grateful for, the things that I saw. And I got an inspiration to journal my gratitude, which I turned into what I call an appreciation practice. And I did that for more than a year, definitely more than a year. And I got so much better at it than when I started. But at least I started changing my life.
Wow.
I just feel more gratitude and feel more appreciation. And it's like fun to do. It's fun to appreciate all these things in my life. And then I expanded that into more journaling about what I love, what I'm having a problem with, what I'm thinking. I'm just saying, where my roadblocks are also.
Right? Journaling is so powerful for that, to actually
It's
put
so powerful.
pen to paper and see those in writing.
It's true.
Yeah.
And it's really powerful for manifestation. I can't tell you how, I could tell you.
Yes.
How,
that's another episode, but yes.
That's another episode, because it has helped me manifest things that I never even thought that I was like, that's never going to happen. But you know what? It is.
Yes.
Because
Okay.
I'm getting out of my own way with the journal.
We definitely need to talk about that. Maybe not today, but because I have a manifesting practice in my journaling too. And I do love to see how well it works. It's amazing. So
it's amazing.
That'll be a fun topic to come back for the sequel of this episode.
Yeah, it will be, because it's incredible.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that. And that wasn't even really like on our agenda. So you just happened to mention it, and boom, new episode coming up. Stay tuned.
Cool.
What about, do you have a mantra?
Yes. I mean, what I would call a mantra is like my intention, my intention for my life and for how I want to keep moving forward. First of all, keep moving.
Yes. Well, that goes, yes. You definitely teach people about moving. So that makes sense.
Just do it.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think bring myself out more, like keep bringing myself out more.
Yeah.
That for me is a really big thing, but I have to discover what it is that I want to bring out. So.
Right. I love asking people about their mantras and hearing how different they are, because some people do have like very specific words and a specific, almost like a little verse or a poem or something, but then other people, like the sense that I'm getting from yours is not so much a verbal, routinely said thing. It's more of like this thought that you think, but it means the same thing, but I can see that it works for you, even if it's not in like a specific little rhyming verse or something.
Right.
That's so interesting. And then, another friend of mine has a mantra that just has a few gibberish words in it too, which totally fine, and it's just fun. It's different for everyone. So I love to ask people. It's totally
different. It's like whatever gets you motivated and turns you from outside to inside to like backing yourself up. Go for it.
And what you said, it's like an intention. For me, I use my mantras as like a shortcut key to remind myself, put myself back in what I've already decided I want for myself with that just little phrase or those little words. Yeah. Oh, that's so nice. What about less into the work side, just more into your personal free time interest, what you care about or are interested in? What do you love to recommend? Do you have any books or TV shows or products or places that you love to tell other people they should try? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I love learning.
Yes.
So I love listening to, I geek out in podcasts about neuroscience and how the brain works. I love that.
Me too.
I love reading and listening about how to make new habits. That's a big thing for me. Yeah. And I love listening to like how to play with energy, like my energy, the energy between myself and someone else. I love listening to and reading books about that. So I would say, you asked me about
now that you bring those up, I am curious. And if you don't have one off the top of your head, that's fine. But is there a specific book about neuroscience or habits or energy that you would recommend?
So I would recommend for neuroscience, I would recommend Andrew Huberman's podcasts and book. I'm not sure if he has a book. I think he has podcasts.
Okay.
He's a brain scientist, basically. Yeah. He has like specifics like vision, but he kind of covers the gamut. He's super interesting.
Oh, I can't wait to check it out.
Yeah. And then James Clear, I love reading his book about atomic habits.
Yes.
And working on it.
Yes.
It's a work in progress.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
And then for the energy and kind of spiritual work, I love James Van Praagh.
Okay.
He's amazing. He has a lot of YouTubes out, and he's just the sweetest man. But boy, he's super potent. I love listening to the Abraham Hicks kinds of things. I go the gamut, though. I mean, and then Joe Dispenza, I love him too.
Okay, nice. Yeah, you definitely have a well-rounded cast.
I'm very well-rounded. Yeah. The science and the spirit.
Yes, very good. Oh, that's so good. Okay, well, we could definitely talk forever, and we probably will set up another one because we want to talk about specifically our journaling practices around manifestation or manifesting. Oh, yeah. We'll have to see if anyone reaches out to us after this episode to say, when is that one coming out? Because I think it'll be a real hot topic. So let's just end this episode today by talking about what do you have coming up, or how can people work with you? Where can people find you?
Well, they can find me on my website, Michell Brown, and there's Michelle is Michell, Brown.com. And like I said, I do have an office in Scottsdale. I work one-on-one with people there. I do have a class coming up. I haven't scheduled it. I'm just about to schedule it. I'm probably in Mesa. That's how they can find me.
I love it. And what we'll do is we'll link everything that you just talked about, your website, your schedule, your class schedule, even the recommendations that you just gave. We'll put them all in one easy to find place at bexby.org/Michelle. And just as a reminder, there's no final E on that. So it's bexby.org/Michell. Perfect. Yes. So yeah, anyone who wants to find any of it can go there. Michelle, is there anything else that I should have asked you today that I forgot to ask?
Well, you covered a lot.
Yeah, you did. Yes.
Like you said, I could talk to you for so long about all kinds of things.
I know.
I can't wait till the journaling thing. I think that's going to be
good.
Fun.
We're going to have to get that on the calendar. That'll be really good. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. I'm so excited for everyone to hear about what you do and how you think and how you work through obstacles and things that come up and how you pay attention to energy. I think that's super interesting. And yeah, I really just want to thank you for your time today.
Oh, you're so welcome. It was so fun to be here with you. Thank you. Thanks to everybody who's listening. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, Michelle, for coming on the podcast today. I had such a lovely, delightful conversation with you, and I'm looking forward to our next episode together. And for everyone who is listening today, thank you so much for tuning in and for sticking around until the end, and I will talk with you next week. This has been Release Your Resistance. Thank you for listening. If you like this podcast, make sure you're subscribed and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Also, think about someone who you know who would love this episode and share it with them. There should be a share button on your app if you're listening to this on your phone. If you'd like to continue this conversation one-on-one or in real time, come visit me on my site at bexby.org to see how we can work together.